Good evening, my friends. Welcome back. It's a beautiful day in Vancouver, Washington. Low 70s, sun has set. It's just a perfect moment. And in this perfect moment, it's a small section of an otherwise stressful few weeks, few months that my family and I have gone through some shit lately. And it really gets me thinking about taking the moments that we do have and the moments of gratitude for the moments when it's quiet and to be able to appreciate those. And I was thinking earlier at work about how when you get up and you say, I gotta go to work, and you get there and you say, man, work just started. When's lunch? And next thing you know, you're like, all right, lunchtime, and then you have to go back to work again. Then you're waiting for the end of the day, and then what? For what? We all know you get off, you have to drive home, you have your dinner, you watch a show, do whatever you do, and you go to bed and you wake up and you do it all over again. Regardless of what you do, you still have some sort of a grind. And I was listening to a channel earlier that resonated with a few topics I wanted to discuss, but I didn't have any notes taken. This is off the cuff, so excuse me. There's a channel called Thinking Ape, and it's just this guy who does these short little podcast type discussions about, usually about men, but often about culture and society. And being a man myself, I find many of these topics fascinating and how succinctly and concise he can put a discussion about these things. But he was talking about goals and the lack that we have of goals, that part of the reason why young men especially are so lost these days, it's not because they can't make money, it's not because they can't find a job, it's not because they don't know who they are, it's because there's so much around us to look over there and say, oh, I could do this or I could do this. The paradox of choice has stifled creativity in a way. And what I mean by that is 100 years ago, there was pride if you were to tell people I'm going to be a carpenter, or I'm going to be a plumber, or a mason, or build high-rise. These things were considered, respected jobs. These days, with all the prefab garbage out there and the, hacks that'll, slap anything together pretty crappy, kind of gave a bad name to the construction industry. But at the same time, those same jobs that a kid might have once aspired to be, even an astronaut, kids wanted to be, that was the top, career. When I was a kid, it was either an astronaut or a fireman. But today they want to be a YouTuber. And it's very sad because there's this illusion of this easy money. And what I was thinking about was, if somebody has content that they want to share, let's say that they're informed, they have topics they want to discuss, or they have art they want to share, whatever it might be, there's nothing wrong with having a YouTube channel and sharing those things. But this isn't the kind of content that kids aspire to create. It's being some douchebag 20-something-year-old who fills his swimming pool with slime, right? Or fills his whole house with beach balls. And this is somehow considered worthy content that kids aspire to. They say, I want to be this guy. I want to have all this fun. Order, 1,000 pounds of candy and dump it all over the road. These pointless, useless things. Now I know, here I am complaining about what other people do with their time and money, and that's not the issue at all. It's the issue of kids aspiring to be basically useless. And this is interesting. It's a big change from the past, where most of the jobs that you could get were jobs that were required to accomplish some form of task. In other words, if you were a farmer, you were feeding people. If you were an automaker, you were making automobiles people would buy and drive in. But at some point in the 20th century, we started creating things people didn't need and convincing folks that they needed things they didn't. Maybe it all started with the soap operas and convincing women to buy various household cleaners that were probably way over, more than necessary. But it went on from basic soaps to now selling you some kind of special custom razor that you'll never need, or skincare products that probably dry your skin out worse than anything. I don't want to get into that one, but the human body can handle itself pretty well without needing to scrub the shit out of it every day with cleansers. I recommend against that, but neither here nor there. This society that we're in right now values money. It's really that simple. There are many, many people out there who value good content, good discussions, but there are far too many young people who just value money and fame. And I'm not going to say this is different from when I was a kid. My brother and I talked, well, more my brother than I, but he wanted to go to Hollywood or wherever and be a rock star, and got his first guitar when he was young, and we used to play together, and we'd dress up and play the part. Played in a band when I was 14. I thought how cool it would be to be on tour, be on the road. And maybe music is a great example, because there was a period in time during the 80s, even into the 90s, where bands could go on tour, make great money, put on a great show, and have a good time, and sell tickets for a decent price. The whole music industry got completely fucking monopolized and wiped out. Then Live Nation and Ticketmaster merged, so now you're basically screwed getting the tickets, you're screwed going to the venue, the bands have just gone so far downhill, a lot of what we considered popular music. Now this is all subjective, of course, but the point is that the music industry is not what it was before. It's a totally, different world. So whereas if you were wanting to be a rock star in the 80s, that might be an option. You might be able to be successful. Today you can still do the same thing, but you go through totally different means, digital means, and you're not going to make all of your money selling CDs, for example. Now, I would love to see the same thing happen with content or YouTube videos, anything on social media, where people will realize that things are going to change. This is why people follow trends, but they find out that the next year it's totally something different. Maybe it's this ice bucket challenge one year. You see what I mean? And I guess the idea is that trends are what we have now. We don't look forward to any long-term goals. We don't even know where the fuck we're going. At least 50 years ago, quote, not the good old days, but the good old days, where you knew that you could get a job doing something and that job would probably be around when you retired. And, forbid, you may even get paid decent and get benefits with your job. And when you retire, hell, you might even get a gold watch and a retirement package. These days, there's really nothing for the youth to look forward to in a career. Very few jobs give a fuck about their employees. And therefore, full circle here, can you blame kids for wanting to be YouTubers or to make all their money off the internet? It's not that the kids are lazy or they don't have goals. It's that the adults in the room have not given kids goals to live up to. We haven't shown them that it's worth pursuing a career doing something that could be valuable to society. Consider the example of an Obama-era commercial where I believe it was Michelle Obama, and it was a commercial about employment and kids and education. And they alluded to the fact of, you better get a job, in the tech industry, or else you might end up being a painter. She was referring to, like, painting interior place, painting a house. Something that I think every human being has probably done by the time that they're in their 20s, either painted a wall or called somebody to paint a wall or tried to paint a wall, realized that you totally suck at it because you have no skills painting, and then call in a professional or a friend who knows how to paint. Because it's not just slapping something up, it's something people need. to do all the time. These are jobs that people have always had, but that have been demeaned and diminished over time. And this is why so many people were bothered when the irony here was that, there was a period a while back where there was the term learn to code, and learn to code was used as kind of a jab or insult to coal miners who were complaining that they couldn't mine coal anymore because of all the regulations and how we need coal. Now look, I'm very mixed feelings on this topic. Coal, yeah, that's some ancient shit. We don't need to burn coal. However, some areas will still need to burn coal and have plenty available, and it's the most efficient source for what they have at the moment. So the point being that the idea of learn to code was the idea that, well, you better get with the future and learn how to program computers. Fast forward 10 years, and now all of a sudden we have AI, and AI is learning to code for us. So all these coders, ironically, might end up being unnecessary as well. But no matter how good AI gets, it's not going to be able to do some of the jobs that require human skill. And these are the things I believe that give us fulfillment in life. I guess what I'm getting at is I think that it seems, at least this to me, that most people find that they're unfulfilled with a digital life exclusively. If everything we do is through the internet, if all of our videos are where we make our money, or, social media is our biggest friend group, then we're going to suffer in the long run, because we want hands-on experience. We want real relationships, real connections. I do, anyway. And I can't speak for you or anyone else. So that's what I've got for the day. I appreciate your time. It's getting dark. I can see that my face is almost faded to black. That's my rant for the day. And I'll be seeing you all next time. Be sure to take the moment for what it is, regardless of how bad things might be, or how bad you might think they'd be. As they say, famous quote that we worry more about things that may never happen than things that actually do. Peace out.